All right. Good morning to you. In continuation of our last video, I said we're going to do writing today, but because in the previous video we just saw we just saw how to actually read our plant data via the internet, and then for today we're going to see how do we write to our plant. How do we tell a control valve to open? How do we tell a lamp in the field to come on? How do we tell? How do we actually do things in the field even while we're not there using the internet? All right. So if you didn't see that last video, I would recommend you go and see that video. But basically, what we did was we said, excuse me, said we have this is our ModSim 32, which is a Modbus server for us. So this Modbus server, what it will do is that currently I've actually simulated the value of 10 here, the value of 20 to 40,002, value of 30 to 40,003. So, and this is our function called holding register. This is just what I'm playing with at this moment now. So because I want to write, of course I cannot write to an input status or to an input register. These are input devices. Remember, you don't write to an input. That is what you learn. One of the things you learn from your automations. So I can only write to a coil status or write to a holding register. All right, so let's say I have the value of 10 and the value of 20 and the value of 30, or let's do it this way. I think it will be better of this way. Let's say I read the value of 10, 20, 30 at I just changed the function code here now to input register. So I'm actually reading. Remember, I can only read the values of an input. So let's say at 30,001, I'm reading the value of, I'm going to read the value of 10. I'm going to read the value of 20 at 30,002. I'm going to read the value of 30 at 30,003. All right. So now when I do that, the intention is that I want to write those same values to let's see, I want to write that any of those values to let's say 40,010, right? 40,010. All right. So for a holding register, remember I read from the input register and I write to the holding register. All right. So currently I'm going to be on the input register tab. All right. So from there, the first thing I want to do is I'll go to this my Modbus read. From my Modbus read, I know that the function code which I am reading, sorry, I'll try to be very fast so that this video will not be that long, and then I hope we'll get the other videos which will actually talk about these things in the very basic, very basic forms. All right, in the future. All right, so let's say I'm going to read input registers, right? I'm going to read input registers, right? Just like my Modbus server here. Of course, these are my targets. So I'm going to read the input registers. I want to start from address 0, and then I want to read 3. You can read 1, you can read 2, you can read 3, but let me just show you that because this is a code which I've already written. So if I save this and I deploy this, you would see that at this point, I've already I should be seeing these values of 10, 20, 30 at 30,001, 30,002, 30,003, but the values are going to be available at debug 15. If I say I want to see what is happening at debug 15, now it shows me 10, 20, and 30, meaning that it is actually reading what is happening at that node. And I think I told it to repeat after every 10 seconds. Okay, so after 10 seconds it gives me these values. All right, so I know I'm seeing these values at okay, so I know I'm seeing these values at after every 10 seconds. So what is going to happen here is that I need these values to actually be pushed into an OPC UA server. Now this is a server which I've created. If you see my address space here, you see that this is a JavaScript code which of course makes it possible for me to have an OPC UA server. All right, so the whole idea is to get the values of 10, 20, and 30, push them into the OPC UA server, but I am going to make use of this man called the OPC UA client. Right now, what I'm telling this client to do is to write the values it sees from here, right? what is this function node do here? Now, first of all, I'm reading the values of those three from here, right? So you see that this is an array. It gives it to me as an array. So for each of this index of this array, I'm actually sending the values to message 1, message 2, message 3, and then for message 1, I'm actually sending it, giving it a topic. Of course, these are some of the things you will see later, you will hear later. So, but what I'm doing is that just see it in a way that I am saying let the value of 10 be given to test read write 1, the value of 20 be given to test read write 2, the value of 30 be given to test read write 3. Alright, so when I do that, I send this value and this code to this OPC UA client, and now which has the action of write, so it will write it to this OPC UA server. Now this server will have the value of 10, will have the values of 10, 20, and 30 for test read write 1, test read write 2, and test read write 3. Okay, so and it does that actually automatically, so you wouldn't have to click anything, just what I've just done. You could actually make it respond to only on your demand, right? But for this time, I just said, okay, let it happen automatically. I wouldn't want to energize anything first before it happens. Okay, so that is that. Now it has. Okay, so excuse me, I actually went to get something. All right, so I said the value goes in here. This function takes it as an input query to this man, and then this man writes the information he has to test it as 1, test it as 2, test it as 3 with the values of 10, 20, and 30 to the OPC UA server. Now from this OPC UA server, what I'm doing again is that I'm going to send the same values from the OPC UA server, but this time I'm not sending the 3 values. I'm not reading the 3 values actually. So what I'm doing here is that I am only reading 1. I just want to read 1. You could read more than 1. You could read the 3 of them. You could read if you actually wanted to see 10, 20, 50, 100 values, whatever number of values you want to see, addresses you want to read from the MODBUS, you could go ahead and do that. But this is just an example. So I'm only reading test read write 2. Remember, the value of test read write 2 is 20 from our MODBUS server. So, but it has already been written to this OPC UA server by this client, and it was given test read write 2. If you could see that again, here, I have test read write 2 reading the message 2.topic, and then the message 2.topic having the second index, and the second index here is actually 20. Okay, so now from there I want to read just test read write 2. So I'm expecting to see the value of 20 when I do that. So at 26, this debug node 26 should actually show me the value of 20. We did this in the previous videos, but I would advise you actually see that. So it's saying does not contain, let's see, username and password does not match the server needed. Let's see, there's an issue. I don't know from the exact one, maybe from my previous nodes. Let's see where this one is coming from. It doesn't look like it's coming from this flow. Alright, so maybe it's one of the things I've done previously. Let me clear this and see. Alright, so I expect to see the value of 20, the value at debug node 26. Alright, so but I don't appear to be seeing that, okay, until I actually do. So this is going to come on demand. So if I hit this, I'm having the value of 20 here, and it is from debug 26. You can see if I leave my cursor there, you could see debug 26. Alright, so I'm reading the value of 20. If I change this value again, just like we saw in the previous video, if I make it this 45, you're going to see that after a while, if I read this, I'm going to get a value of 45 at test read write 2. Alright, so we know that the value is being logged into the OPC UA server. I know that I'm reading the value from the OPC UA server. Remember, this client is set to read. Alright, this is another client set to read. Alright, so now I know I am reading that value, right? So I know I've created a table before. You could see the previous video. I know I've initialized the table. I just want to update the value of 45. into my Google Cloud server, right? MySQL database. So I'm going to hit update, right? Update the PLC values. So it tells me that it has actually done the update, right? So let me just turn this off. It's actually coming a lot. I don't want to see this. There are too much of it coming. All right, so if I update these values, and remember we already said we have done that update. You could see the previous values again, like previous video, like I said, to actually see how these things have been done. All right, so the next thing I want to see is that I want to see the value of 45 and know whether it has actually done that. So if I do this, so you see the legal MODBUS exception to address, but let's find out whether it actually read this. I think this will be coming from some of the changes we did previously. If it doesn't affect what we're doing, then we just go ahead and do what we're doing. But I think okay, this is coming from this particular one. We're going to address this because we're going to make use of this shortly. All right, so if I open up this, you see I have the value of 45. If I change this value to, let's say, 89, let me just, if I change that value to 89 and then I read what do we have there now, do we have 89? Yes, we do have 89. So I can update my PLC value and then I can read what I have there. So after reading what we have there, do I have 89? Yes, I have the value from the remote database as 89. So what I want to do is that this value of 89, I actually want to write it into 40,010, which is the holding register address, right? So remember, we picked this from the input register, but we're sending this value to the holding register. This is just an example to show you how I can reach from one point and send to another point, right? But you get the idea here. The idea here is that I could use a web page to actually change the value remotely, and then it will be written to whatever I wanted. So this is just like saying I have a value of, say, 89, right, at a particular location, and I want something in my plant flow to actually be 89, and then pam, that is exactly what it's going to be. So let me see what I have written here. The topic is this, global topic. Okay, so I want to write this. This is actually coming with some errors. Let's see what we have here. So I want to preset a single register, and then it is going to a value of 15. Let's see. Okay, so I just had to check what that error is, where that error is coming from. You see, actually I was here, it was actually in input register. If I make this input register, so I'm going to start getting errors from this particular one, because this one is actually trying to set the holding register. If I make this one the holding register, which I would want to do now, if I make it the holding register, you see I don't want any value here for holding register. I want it 0. I want it 0. Of course, no values here for holding registers. So I'm just trying to read this particular one. All right, so to write to 40,010, we said so. So you see, you're going to get errors from, if I put this in holding registers, you're going to get errors from the previous one. If I put this particular one in input registers, you're going to get errors from this particular one. So we are safe for where we are now. So let me clear this. We could be getting errors, but not for this particular one. So let's say I want to write it to MODBUS address of 15. I don't know, probably you may have seen the answer written there already. So if I save this, I put that value there, deploy, and then I should be having, if I hit select, I should be having a value of at this, not there. Okay, yes, okay, at 12 I'm having a value of, okay, what did I put here? I put a value of 11. Okay, that should be 12. So if I want 10, if I want 10, I put 11 and got 12. Okay, if I want 10, surely I should be saying 9. So whatever I do there, you would see if I try to hit this select. Of course, you could do this right command differently, right? But I just decided to do it all along. So on the same line with the update and the select. So if I hit select, now what is happening here is that the value of 89 has been written into your holding register of 10. So if peradventure I say I go back here to my input register and I change the value here to 112, for example, so now if I go back to holding register, you discover that the value here, sorry, the value here has not changed to 112, right? Until I go ahead, according to the program which I've written, I have to read this. Now if I read this, it has not read it first. It's not reading that. It's reading 0. Okay, sorry. My input register and then 112 at my input register. If I have 112 at my input register, remember this is just a simulation server. With your live plans, it's not going to be happening this way. So if I hit read, so it shows me the value of 112, and then if I go back here to write, to update my PLC table, and then select my PLC table, of course, and then I go back, I see that in my holding register, this I should be having a value of 112, but currently I do not have that. So let's see why. Did I update it? Yes, I think I updated it. I selected it, and then the selection should automatically write to this according to what I've written. So let's see that. So I have the value of 112. All right, so this is just how to write. You could actually write from your web page. You could write from any of your client devices, any of your client software applications remotely, and then the same thing is going to happen to your plant. I remember we read via MODBUS to OPC UA, from OPC UA to the Google MySQL cloud database, and then from there we were actually able to see it in any location we want. Of course, that is on the internet. From that internet, we could actually come back to our plant in the same way, writing from there to our Google Cloud database, from our clients in any location to our Google Cloud database. Our Google Cloud database, we're going to take it back to my OPC UA server. From my OPC UA server, client is going to take it, write the value to the MODBUS right, and then from MODBUS right, it maps to any of our PLCs and DCS which you're using, and then the values will be changed remotely. So this is just what I want to show you today. This is possible. As you can see, it is very possible, and these programs are all open source. You don't have to spend much money except in hosting your data on the cloud. So take care. Have a nice day.